If you look at how the wealthiest people on earth make their money, it doesn't look like investing. It doesn't even look like business. It looks like a cheat code. For decades, you were told the formula: work hard, save your paycheck. Put it in a 401k, buy index funds, be patient. That's the American dream, right? But as of this morning, that dream is a lie. The ultra wealthy don't follow your rules. They don't use your playbook. They never did. They built an entirely different system, a parallel economy that operates above yours, around yours, and if we're being honest, directly against yours. And the consequences of that system are already spreading through the housing market, through the tax code, through inflation, and probably right into the reason you feel like you're working harder every year and falling further behind. Wall Street won't tell you this. Your financial advisor doesn't understand it, and the media is too busy covering tweet storms to explain the machinery underneath. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how the elite invest, how they multiply wealth while paying almost nothing in taxes, and why the gap between you and them isn't just growing, it's accelerating by design. So let's cut through the noise. Here is exactly how the money machine works. It starts, as it always does, with a lie. The lie is simple. You've heard it 1,000 times. The rich got rich the same way you can. They just worked harder. They invested smarter. They started earlier. It sounds inspiring. It sounds democratic. It's total fiction. The ultra wealthy don't make money the way you make money. You make money by earning income, a salary, a wage, a bonus if you're lucky. And the second that money hits your bank account, the government takes its cut. 30%, 37%, sometimes more when you add state taxes. You work. You earn. You get taxed. That's your system. But the elite, they don't earn income, not in any way the IRS cares about. Instead, they do something so elegant, so perfectly legal, and so fundamentally unfair that once you see it, you will never look at a billionaire the same way again. They don't earn, they borrow. And that single distinction is the skeleton key to the entire game. Let me show you exactly how it works. Because once you see the receipts, you realize this isn't conspiracy. It's architecture, and it was built to keep you out. Receipt number 1, the buy, borrow, die strategy. This is the foundation. This is the playbook that every billionaire from Elon Musk to Jeff Bezos to Larry Ellison uses every single day. And it has 3 steps. Step 1, buy assets, not stocks the way you buy stocks, a few shares of Apple in your Robinhood account. No, they buy entire companies. They buy 10,000 acres of farmland. They buy things that appreciate in value year after year after year. Step 2, borrow against those assets. Here's where the magic happens. Let's say you're a billionaire and you own $10 billion in stock. You need $200 million to buy a mega yacht, a new company, a private island, whatever. A normal person would sell the stock, pay capital gains tax, maybe 20%, and use what's left. But the billionaire doesn't sell. The billionaire walks into Goldman Sachs and says, lend me $200 million. Here's my stock as collateral. The bank says yes instantly. The interest rate, maybe 1%, maybe 2%, sometimes less. Because when you're borrowing against $10 billion, the bank isn't worried about risk. You are the safest customer they have. So now the billionaire has $200 million in cash. And here is the critical part. That $200 million is not income. It's a loan. And loans are not taxed. Let me say that again, because this is the part they don't teach you in school. Loans are not taxed. You just accessed $200 million without paying a single cent to the IRS. Not one penny. Your assets keep growing. Your loan sits there at a tiny interest rate, and you live like a king, tax-free. Step 3, die. This sounds morbid, but stay with me because this is where the trick becomes immortal. When the billionaire eventually dies, those assets pass to their heirs, and under current U.S. tax law, something called the stepped-up basis kicks in. That means all the gains, all the appreciation from the entire lifetime of that billionaire are erased from the tax books. Gone. The heirs inherit the assets at their current value. They never pay tax on decades of growth. They then borrow against the same assets. And the cycle repeats. Buy, borrow, die, borrow, die. It's not a strategy, it's a dynasty machine. And it's perfectly legal. You're paying 30% on your salary. They're paying 0 forever. That is receipt number 1. And we're just getting started. Receipt number 2, the private equity black box. You've probably heard the term private equity. It sounds boring. It sounds like something guys in gray suits talk about at lunch, but private equity is the single most powerful wealth creation vehicle in the history of modern finance, and you are locked out of it by law. Here's how it works. Private equity firms raise massive pools of money from ultra-wealthy investors. We're talking $500 million minimums to get in the door. They take that money and they buy companies, not public companies you can see on the stock market, private companies, companies you've never heard of. And then they do something ruthless. They load those companies up with debt. They slash costs. They fire workers. They strip out every dollar of inefficiency. Then 3 to 5 years later, they sell the company for double or triple what they paid. The profits are staggering, 20%, 30%, sometimes 50% annual returns. Your index fund gave you 8% last year and you were thrilled. They made 40%, but here's the real trick. The managers of these funds, the people running the show, they get paid through something called carried interest. And carried interest is taxed not as income, not at 37%, but as capital gains at 20%. These fund managers are earning hundreds of millions of dollars a year and paying a lower tax rate than their secretaries. The question isn't whether the system is rigged. The question is how long the rest of us are willing to keep playing a game we were never meant to win. Do you think this is just smart investing, or is it the biggest wealth heist in human history? I want to hear your take. Is this the system working as intended, or is it the system working against you? Drop a comment below. I read them all. And if you want to know what happens when the next satisfaction proposal hits Congress, and it will, make sure you're subscribed. You're going to want to see who kills it and why. The money never sleeps. Don't blink.